The coastline of Gaza tells a story before any statement is issued or any agreement signed. The roads bend along the shoreline, the waves break without pause, and behind them lie neighborhoods that have endured years of isolation, conflict, and uncertainty. Today, a different kind of announcement emerges from this landscape, one that speaks not to victory or defeat, but to transition. Palestinian groups, including the Islamist movement Hamas, have agreed to a temporary handover of administrative authority in the Gaza Strip to an independent committee of experts, a move described as provisional, measured, and technical, but also significant. The decision was announced in Cairo, where representatives of multiple Palestinian factions met with mediators from Egypt and other regional actors. The result is an agreement that places civilian administration in the hands of technocrats who are not formally aligned with any armed group. This development follows a ceasefire arrangement brokered under the framework of a 20-point plan supported by the United States. The plan emphasizes restoring essential governance in Gaza, reopening basic public institutions, and preparing the territory for reconstruction efforts after years of blockade and recurring hostilities. While Hamas has, in the past, indicated willingness to coordinate on humanitarian mechanisms, this is the first time the group has publicly endorsed a structured transfer of civil administration to a non-partisan committee, yet the picture on the ground remains complex. The Gaza Strip is a place where life has never been separated from politics and where governance is not merely a matter of staffing offices or signing administrative papers. The roads, the buildings, the very fabric of daily existence bears the imprint of repeated conflict. Entire blocks have been leveled, infrastructure reduced to fragments, and thousands of families displaced. For many Palestinians inside Gaza, the immediate questions are not abstract matters of governance, but whether they will have electricity, clean water, health services, or a secure place to sleep. In this environment, the Committee of Experts is expected to assume responsibility for civilian sectors: health, education, municipal administration, social services, and the coordination of reconstruction. The idea is that technocrats, rather than factional operatives, can manage these services with neutrality and efficiency. They are to be selected based on professional competence, not political loyalty. They are to operate with transparency and accountability, with oversight mechanisms supported by regional and international partners. However, the transition is not total. Hamas has made clear that while it will step back from formal governance roles within ministries and public offices, it will not disarm, nor will it surrender its influence over the security environment in Gaza. The organization continues to describe itself as a resistance movement, committed to what it calls the defense of Palestinian land and people. In practice, this means that the new administrative committee must operate in parallel with existing power structures that are deeply rooted and highly organized. The challenge ahead is to transform this provisional arrangement into a functioning civilian administration that is capable of restoring public confidence. For years, Gaza's population has lived under blockade, managing scarcity of fuel, medicine, food, and basic supplies. Schools have attempted to operate amid damage, overcrowding, and intermittent electricity. Hospitals have struggled under shortages and high demand. Municipal workers have kept water and sanitation systems functioning at the edge of collapse. Now, the committee must step into this environment and begin not only managing what remains, but planning for what must be rebuilt. The international community is expected to play a central role in financing reconstruction. Donor conferences are anticipated, coordination mechanisms are being discussed, and international agencies are preparing assessments. But the flow of funding depends on stability and predictability, conditions that Gaza has rarely experienced in recent decades. Without steady security and consistent governance, even well-designed reconstruction strategies risk delay or fragmentation. Inside Gaza, the reaction to the announcement is cautious. Some residents view the transition as a necessary step toward relief and recovery. Others are uncertain, asking who these experts are, how they will be chosen, and whether any committee can function effectively without direct authority over security forces. Still, others express concern that internal competition among Palestinian factions may resurface as the work of reconstruction progresses. Meanwhile, for Palestinian political movements, the transition raises strategic questions. Hamas, by endorsing this temporary arrangement, signals a willingness to adjust its governing posture under international pressure, political necessity, or both. Other factions, particularly those aligned with the Palestinian Authority, view this as a possible opening for broader political reconciliation. Yet reconciliation has been attempted before and has failed repeatedly amid disputes over power sharing, security control, and representation. The question of security remains central. As long as armed groups maintain autonomous command structures, any administrative committee operates with limited authority. The ceasefire that enabled this agreement is fragile. Localized incidents could escalate rapidly. Regional actors remain engaged in calculating their interests. And on the ground, ordinary people continue to hope that this time the political process will not collapse under the familiar weight of mistrust. Still, there is a difference in tone today, a shift away from unilateral governance and toward collaborative management, however temporary. The handover marks an acknowledgement that Gaza's future cannot be shaped by any single faction alone. The territory requires coordination, planning, and technical expertise to rebuild roads, electricity networks, water pipelines, schools, hospitals, and housing. It requires support from agencies that have experience in large-scale reconstruction, and it requires a governing atmosphere that prioritizes the daily life of the population over factional rivalry. This agreement does not resolve the broader political conflict. It does not define the future of Palestinian statehood, nor does it determine Gaza's final administrative structure. It does not answer the question of elections, representation, or long-term governance. These issues remain subjects of negotiation, debate, and unresolved tension. Yet what this agreement does offer, at least in principle, is a pause, a moment of administrative reorientation, a chance to rebuild without the immediate expectation of political consolidation, a possible opening for new forms of cooperation among Palestinian actors and regional partners. On the streets, the realities of day-to-day life continue. Families search for new homes or return to damaged ones. Children walk past rubble where familiar landmarks once stood. Clinics operate with limited supplies but persistent effort. Markets reopen slowly, their shelves less full than before. Social life reorganizes itself in temporary spaces, tents, makeshift shelters, improvised community centers. It is here, in these everyday movements, that the true meaning of administrative transition will be measured, not in formal announcements, but in whether families gain access to clean water, whether hospitals receive medicine, whether schools reopen, whether power lines are repaired, whether life resumes with dignity. The road ahead is uncertain. The transition may strengthen, stall, or break apart under pressure. But today, in Gaza, the possibility of shared governance, however temporary, has been placed on the table. The responsibility now lies with the committee of experts, with Palestinian actors, with regional partners, and with the international community to turn that possibility into material improvement. For the people living here, the hope is simple, that this time change will be real, that administration will lead to restoration, that agreements will translate into services, and that daily life, long shaped by conflict, may finally begin to move towards stability.